He's a licensed therapist, but our background check revealed he's also a registered sex offender.
Hi, I'm Dr. Gagnon.
And when our undercover producers posed as prospective patients, he didn't disclose anything about his criminal past. So we made one more appointment so I could pay him a visit.
Hey, doctor.
Yes, sir.
Chris Hansen with Dateline NBC. How are you?
Good.
How's everything?
What are you doing?
I wanted to ask you some questions, if I could.
Excuse me. Get out of here.
Well, we're doing a story on professionals who may not be exactly who folks think they are.
After first insisting we leave, Gagnon eventually agreed to let us stay. I told him we knew all about his conviction for sexual assault.
You are a registered sex offender.
For something I never did.
For something you never did.
That's correct.
Gagnon denied he ever assaulted a woman and claimed his lawyer did a terrible job defending him.
I never committed that crime. I would not have even thought to commit a crime like that.
Gagnon said it was all a setup by the Danbury Police Department. He said back then he was about to testify about police corruption. He got upset as he recalled how he says he was threatened by a police officer.
We know where you live, of course, and it would be a shame if something happened to you or your family and there were no responders. And the blood ran cold in my body, and I felt a shiver of fear come up my back, and I was terrified.
We spoke to the Danbury Police Department and to former members of the Danbury Town Council. All denied any knowledge of corruption allegations or threats made against John Gagnon. And though he denies he committed that sexual assault, Gagnon does not deny he pretended to be an Army general.
In the past, you have dressed up in military garb.
Yes.
And said that, in fact, you were. And you got into trouble for it. There was a conviction.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yes. Yes. And I discovered at that time that I had a mental illness called manic depressive condition, and that I truly believed, that I was, in fact, a part of the military.
Did you seek treatment for that?
Yes, I did.
The Connecticut Health Department did put Gagnon on probation after his conviction for impersonating a military officer. His probation was later lifted, but Gagnon was forbidden to lie about his credentials, which would include saying that he had been in the military. But I reminded him that he lied again during the session with our undercover producers, apparently violating his agreement with the state of Connecticut.
What branch were you in?
U.S. Army.
U.S. Army? Oh, wow. Now, doctor, that's not true, is it?
No. And I called this gentleman to explain to him that that was not true.
In fact, Gagnon did call our producer after the session to admit he had lied. But what we really wanted to know was, does he ever tell his patients about his past? Several weeks after this interview, John Gagnon agreed to answer that question, this time with his lawyer present. First, we wanted to know why he didn't tell our undercover producers anything about his past.
Shouldn't your patients know that, in fact, you're a registered sex offender?
Yes.
Do you tell them that?
Yes.
Every time?
Yes, but not in the first session, of course.
Not in the first session?
No, of course
Why
not
in the first session?
Because I don't have any kind of trust relationship with them for at least a month or 2 months.
But again, going in, if somebody's going to pour out their emotions and seek help from you as a professional,
yes,
shouldn't they know that, in fact, you were convicted of sexual assault and impersonating a police officer?
Yes. Well, first of all, I'm innocent of those charges.
Well, you were convicted by a jury.
I understand what you're saying.
And his conviction stands. We wanted to know why a man who has 2 convictions on his record and is a registered sex offender still has a license to practice psychotherapy in the state of Connecticut. A spokesman for the state's Department of Public Health declined an interview, but told us in an email it had conducted an investigation into the sexual assault back in the 80s and found insufficient evidence to take any action. Remember, the health department did put Gagnon on probation for impersonating an Army officer. And since our visits to Gagnon, he was charged with illegal weapons possession after a patient complained that he was wearing a gun during therapy sessions. The state says it's now conducting a new investigation into whether or not he's fit to practice. For his part, Gagnon says, despite everything, he's still qualified to be a therapist.
I want people to know that I'm a very good psychotherapist. I want people to know that I'm on treatment, and everything that I have done in my life has been aimed towards helping people.
Whether John Gagnon should be practicing therapy or not, Tommy Joyce of LexisNexis says the bigger point is that prospective therapy patients or anyone about to place their trust in a professional should at least be aware of that person's past.
I think you should know who you're dealing with and have that complete picture of that individual so you can make a better and informed decision.